In theory, the Audi R8 RWS and Porsche 911 GT3 should be classic rivals for one another. After all, they cost within a few £100 of each other at 112 grand a piece. They're both rear-wheel drive and are powered by atmospheric engines that sit behind rather than in front of their seats. And both are aimed at the same kind of hardcore enthusiast driver who cares more about on-the-edge speed and thrills than they do about luxury space or equipment, which is why we took them to the Bedford Autodrome and got the stopwatch out. Trouble is, the weather on the day was, shall we say, quite British. Even so, we still gave it a go, just to see which one could be hustled round the track fastest in less than perfect conditions. R8 first then, this is what happened next.
Considering Audi's built its entire performance reputation on the Quattro drivetrain of four-wheel drive, it's a bit of an anomaly, the R8 RWS. But I kind of like it all the same, because who's not going to like an R8 that's rear-wheel drive? In a way, it's a bit of a shame that they haven't gone the whole way and put the more powerful version of the V10 engine in the RWS, because this one's only got 540 horsepower, whereas in the Plus, the four-wheel drive Plus, you get 610, which that's quite a difference. But it's a weird one, because when you're actually behind the wheel, I don't reckon you can tell that much difference between the 540 horsepower one and the 610 horsepower one. It's absolutely soaking wet today, as you can see. As you know, it's kind of drying in patches, but I certainly can't give it everything. Even though this one's on regular P0 tyres, whereas the Porsche, as we'll find out in a minute, is pretty hamstrung by the fact that it's got Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres on it, which don't like this kind of weather at all. But the thing about the R8 is you get that noise, and it's just, I don't know, it's worth $1 million, that noise. It's got great brakes. It feels pretty quick in a straight line, I have to admit, even though it hasn't got the full beans engine. And it's just very hard not to really fall for the R8 RWS. But the main thing is how fast it is.
But before we found out precisely how quick the R8 was in the wet, this is what the 911 felt like during some quite slippery warm-up laps by comparison.
This new GT3 really is an absolute monster of a car. It is such a shame that it's not perfectly bone dry today, because to all intents and purposes, this thing feels to me like a racing car with a set of number plates on it. It's got nearly 500 horsepower, not as much torque as the Audi, 339 pounds-feet, as opposed to nearly 400 in the Audi, but it's lighter than the Audi by quite a lot. Pretty much a whole person lighter than the Audi, and it absolutely feels it on the move. It feels so agile, so pin sharp, the GT3, in everything it does. Not just the steering, the brakes, the throttle response. The throttle response in this thing is incredible. Watch. And the feel and touch, noise it makes as well is just epic. I mean, third gear. Yes, please. And it's just got masses of feel everywhere. Not a gigantic amount of grip today on these Pilot Cup Sport 2 tyres, unfortunately. There are just too many little damp patches to really commit to the throttle, commit to your turning speed. But I am going to try a lap in it. It is getting drier, and I hope I don't throw it off in the process, but I am not going to give it the chat whilst I'm doing the timed lap, because I need to concentrate, and you will see why in a minute.
And so this is what the timed lap in each car looked like, but side by side, looking forwards and from onboard, just so you can see for yourselves how different and how difficult they both were to drive. watch out for the moment they both have, or I have in both of them, through the quick chicane about 4/5 of the way around the lap. It's pretty outrageous to watch. In the end, the conditions very nearly got the better of me, as well as both cars. And they certainly did the GT3 no favours whatsoever on its Cut 2 tyres. In this respect, the R8, on its regular P0 rubber, had a key advantage. And that's mainly why it went a fair bit quicker than the Porsche. In the dry, I'd put £1,000 on the GT3 going quickest, and by a fairly decent margin. But on this day, on this track, in these conditions, and on those tyres, the R8 pinched it. So until the summer finally starts to arrive, click on the video windows to watch another track battle between the R8 V10 Plus and a McLaren 570S and Porsche's 911 Turbo S, or watch a drag race between a pair of Audi R8 V10s. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video, or on our logo to subscribe.